Josh, get out of the camera. Turkey. Get out of there, dog. Morning, guys. It's Rolling with Borealis Bushcraft. I slept in. It's 10 to 9 in the morning on our little bug out exercise. Slept very, very comfortable instead of having to get up in the middle of the night for the proverbial old man toiletries division. But yeah, other than that, the night was really good. Not cold at all. No long underwear, no nothing. So we're just gonna make a little fire here. Won't be a very long video. But yesterday I tried something new. I fasted all day. Aside of a little bit of water, and by probably under 500 mils. So I already started this exercise hungry and tired and a little bit dehydrated. Obviously not drinking enough. As you can see, it's a vehicle supported trip. Truck's in behind me there. So we're just gonna make a little bit of a small morning fire here to boil up some water and have some oatmeal. Maybe some fruit. Yeah, so let's get to it. I don't bore you with too much details concerning the fact everybody's seen people baton wood before. I do have an axe in the truck, so if you're gonna get into the whole, oh, you shouldn't baton with your knife bullshit, don't even bother. For the little dinky piece of wood that I'm splitting with this, not gonna be an issue. I'm not splitting 10-inch logs here. This affords you a little more control in a camp setting. That's pretty much what it boils down to in this scenario. And we're not going to baton a lot. Everything out here is still super damp, so I'm doing my best to keep everything up off of the ground. So, a little tip when you're doing wet fire lighting is obviously the outside of your wood is going to be damp or wet. We all know the inside's dry, but what a lot of people don't get is they'll split out their wood and then they'll put their split side down onto something damp. Well, it's just going to suck up moisture like a sponge. So try and keep it, if it's still barked, bark side up, or sorry, bark side down. And that'll give you a little bit more leeway when it comes to your fire lighting. Not too many people do that and they have all kinds of problems. Who knows, I might have problems, I don't know. I haven't been out in the woods in a long time. I work in the woods every day. But running a rock drill in northern Manitoba and coming out here and then actually enjoying myself is another story. As you can hear, the wood's fairly dry, so shouldn't have too much of an issue. Not gonna go super crazy. Probably the extent of what we'll split out here. Keep the rest of that up off the ground. Again, here I've got two pieces that are bark side down, good side up. Simply because you want to keep the cold ground from sucking the heat out of your fire. Pretty straightforward. And for anybody that's new, anytime you get a knife, guys, that's got coating on it, I like to prepare mine by grinding the coating off the spine of the knife, just like I do with Moras and pretty much any other knife that I use out in the woods. One, you can use it as a scraper for scraping tinder, right? Scraping up fat wood or whatever, birch, scraping the bark off of a birch or cedar, whatever you need to do, right? So I'm going to disappoint you guys this morning because we're not going to make a bow drill fire because our humidity level is about 100%. Can it be done? Yes. Do you want to do that? Probably not so much. So, guess what we're going to use? Good old Bic. So, on my morning jaunt for looking for firewood, I collected a massive birch bark because there's a birch tree in my local area here. Shouldn't have to use all of this, so we'll save some of that. Now, birch lights typically wet or dry. Obviously, if it's sopping wet, you're going to want to dry it as much as you can. But for the most part and intended purpose, it's going to be not too bad. What I see a lot of mistakes and stuff in the bush and guys on YouTube videos and stuff make is they try lighting their birch bark when it's wet with a ferro rod. That's fine, but it's gonna present its own set of challenges because now you have a real tiny spark try to ignite something that's saturated. Well, I shouldn't say saturated because it doesn't get saturated, it just sits on the top surface. But there's not enough constant heat there to actually spark it up first, second go. You usually have to take a couple more runs at it to actually get the birch bark to actually dry out enough to catch. So what we're going to end up using here for kindling is just some lower pine branches that I gathered up this morning. Yeah, I put that back on the ground, shouldn't have. You want to try and... sometimes guys will add this stuff all at once to their birch on top after. I don't typically do that. Excuse me. Morning belching going on. As you can see, it bends before it breaks, so it is a little bit damp. So it is very important that you start with the smallest stuff that you possibly can, because it'll dry out the quickest. Now I've tried to dry this out. I've waved it around in the air, and she's still pretty damp. But we're gonna give her a go anyway. And whenever you go foraging for tinders and kindling and stuff, just make sure you keep a little bit off to the side just in case your original pile of kindling burns down too fast. Wasn't quite expected. So right now we're lucky it's not pouring rain out. I was a little worried last night because it didn't stop raining all night. It only stopped at about 2 in the morning. Or, sorry, no, not 2 in the morning. I can't add. It only really stopped at probably around, I don't know, 3:30, 3:45, somewhere in there. So, that being said, nothing's had a chance to dry out yet. So gonna make a few extra splits. A little bit of dry stuff there that I can pop onto the top once I get some actual flame going. All right. So, in theory, that should be relatively enough fire prep for what I want to accomplish here. I'll get that there. Take our birch. See, even with the lighter, you can see how long that took to catch. Normally birch goes up like fast, right? It's gonna be smoky. Right now I got the smoke kind of going into my shelter a little bit. There's not a whole lot of wind out here right now, so let your flames climb up into your pile. If you don't need your excess birch bark, don't bother to use it. Now this is important. When you add fuel, add it slowly and let your flames climb up into your fire. Ugh, morning slag. The reason for that is I see too many people add fuel way too quick. I saw it in the 4 years that I trained scouts and leaders. You'll notice there's no teepee, there's none of that bullshit involved here. Place your wood where it's going to be the most effective in your fire. Don't just haphazardly throw it off. Yes, fire likes chaos. Everybody says that. They are right. However, if I'm putting wood over where there's no flame, I'm not really doing much, am I? You gotta realize this is like a little furnace. Smoked out a bit. And as you can see, we have fire. No muss, no fuss, no screwing around. I didn't baton a metric ton of wood before I got going. I didn't split a metric ton of wood. I cut probably about 6 billets out of a 4-inch poplar that was dead standing. And now we have fire. Pretty simple. Notice how I'm kind of adding it in a slight crisscross fashion. Well, the reason for that's relatively simple too. It holds itself up. So, when I did my fall/winter changeover for my bug out bag, which is something you should do twice a year, spring and fall, is I'm a big fan of canteen cups. I like canteen cups. A lot of guys do. A lot of guys like bottles. They each have their pros and cons. Even a metal canteen, unless you have like one of the newer style like Canterbury or Canteen Shop come up with there, where you can actually, it's a little bit of more of a wide mouth. I may get one just for shits and giggles. They're extreme. You can't boil water in them because 90% of them are plastic, and the old school metal ones are usually 2 halves, and if you keep them in the fire too long, they'll melt. Yeah. Huh. This is my time for hydration. That should be enough. 2 cups. If you do like doing the canteen thing, get a lid. Saves a lot of energy. My Get Home bag has a cooker on it. I haven't picked one up for this kit yet. Like I said, this is the bug out bag. It kind of sits in the basement. And the Get Home bag kind of sits in the truck. So, yeah. Oh, beautiful morning. It's not raining. Kept the old Mossberg out last night for predator defense. And a lot of guys are like, never had an issue with wolves or coyotes or any of that stuff. Well, I know the area. I know there's mountain lions out here. There's a pride of them out here. We're out by Haddishville. The pride's getting bigger. Not to mention the fact that I brought my dog, and wolves and coyotes don't like canines much. I guess they see it as competing for territory, or whatever their reasoning is. But yeah, that, and I'm gonna go for a little walk and do some chicken hunting. Didn't see anything scurrying around, probably because of the weather. So it's probably gonna be that. I highly doubt if I get anything. If I do get something, I might make a video on how to process it. We'll see. But yeah. So, because everybody likes knives, we'll get into a lot of discussion. I like knives. I love knives. Okay? Here's the thing. And I've said it in Facebook posts and all kinds of stuff. There is no one great knife that does everything. There just isn't. It's like searching for the Holy Grail. It probably doesn't exist. But find something that you like and learn how to use it. And you're going to go through probably a lot of knives to do that. So some people collect knives, and I've taken guys out to the bush that come out with 10 knives but have no idea how to use the damn thing. So take the time and learn to use your tool, right? Larger knives, you can do heavier work. Smaller knives, you get to do more delicate work. somewhere in there, there's a bit of a balance that you can do a bit of both. Okay. So what I have today is I have an Ontario SP50 that lives on my bug out bag. The only reason I brought it out is because it lives on my bug out bag. If for some reason that I'm separated from my truck and I need to process some larger wood for a fire or shelter or whatever my reasoning may be, I have a larger fixed blade knife. That being said, that back there, and that lives on a thigh rig, by the way. There's a paneled thigh rig, and that's not a big stiff heavy one. I can crumple this up. I believe this was made by Tactical Tailor way back in the day when he was first getting going. But it carries a lot better if I got to carry it on a thigh rig than it does just flopping around. So next is my EDC is my CRK TM21. This is the tan version Grivery with the VEF serrations. I've had both standard serrations and the VEF. Both good knives. They're both tough. Made for work. I kind of like the Grivery scales better than the other ones. And the other serrations ground off through use within a couple of years from sharpening. So if you use your knives a lot, that's pretty much what'll eventually happen. Oh, but yeah. And then in my bug out bag I also have a Mora. So I'm not gonna go into the details of a Mora. Everybody knows what Blade Mora is. It's a great knife for a cheap price. So anyway, I am going to get my breakfast here going, and we will see you possibly later in the day. It's kind of nice to have the heat of the fire in the morning. Actually, I kind of like that. One more thing in terms of bugging out. If you're in a densely populated area, if you have a fire, you're going to stick out. So having some kind of a stove or a cooker is going to be a plus if you have to boil water or filter it, right? Out here, I'm not overly concerned. Along the Whitemouth River, and yeah, I'm not stealth camping in the city trying to keep a low footprint or anything. You know, the area that I am is visited by the Scout program, and I would imagine quite a few other people, but just keep that in mind. Anytime you have some kind of a fire, you're going to create a footprint. There's smoke, there's smell, there's noise associated with processing of wood, all that kind of stuff. So if you're in an urban or semi-urban environment, probably not going to be your go-to method of cooking and procuring water. So you might want to look at some kind of a stove situation if you want to stay concealed. Anyway, that's enough rambling for this morning. I want to eat. Catch you later.